Friends, we are very happy to inform you that e-modules are prepared for B.Ed program at Telangana by the School of Education, Osmania University under Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme MHRD New Delhi. It's indeed our pleasure to share with the teacher educators and the prospective teachers and get maximum benefit out of it. It's a first of its attempt by us. We continue to add many more such lessons to share with you all.
Children, as they make a gradual shift from um, primary years to middle years and then middle years to high school years, they go through a lot of transition. And we came up with this idea of origami artifacts so that we can engage children directly to be able to understand, to be able to touch mathematics, to be able to feel mathematics. Typically, science is possibly the subject where you touch and feel things, but mathematics can also be like that. So, we came up with quite a few exhibitions with our origami artifacts and created this traveling exhibit with beautiful imagery like you've been seeing in the primary years segment. The upper middle school segment also has similar um, imagery and visual artifacts. You're going to look at 5 animals here too, basically making a transition from triangles and quadrilaterals into higher order quadrilaterals and then polygons. And once this transition is made, it's very easy for the now that you have learned the second set of 5 animals. I hope you're able to appreciate how learning needs to be put together for children, not just from the perspective of mathematics as numbers and calculations or geometry or syllabus, but also as learning through patterns. And if you can see, this learning through patterns exists all through. There are several patterns of triangles, there are several patterns of quadrilaterals, there are several patterns of angles. And these several patterns of angles also fit with the geometry in multiple ways. So, how a child perceives math is very much based on how a teacher facilitates it. If mathematics can be made engaging, if mathematics can be made hands-on, if mathematics can be made based in art, culture, mathematics can be a lot of fun. I hope you as teachers also have had a lot of fun working with these mathematics based modules so far. And the important feature that you got to take as a summary from the third module, especially working with the higher order, as these concepts extend and expand into higher order concepts later on, they can become very challenging for the child. So, as a teacher, it's very important that their foundation is phenomenal and strong. So, by making such artifacts, children easily grasp the difference between angles in a pentagon to a hexagon to a heptagon to an octagon. And when these become 3D elements, also known as platonic solids, which you will be seeing in the next segment, you will understand that polygons and platonic solids fit well with each other. Polygons are 2D, and when the same structures are represented in 3D, they become platonic solids. So, triangle in 2D becomes a tetrahedron in 3D. So, if triangle is the strongest geometric structure, then the tetrahedron is the strongest energy based structure. So, physics is based on tetrahedron. A lot of physics concepts are based in tetrahedron. Now, all this we're going to see in the next module. So, now we are actually going to walk you from mathematics into patterns. So, we are going from two-dimensional mathematics into three-dimensional mathematics patterns. And when you look at mathematics as a process, mathematics is a road, it is a path to learn absolutely anything and everything around us. This final module will take you through to that extent in helping you understand that mathematics, and especially in ancient India, also in ancient Greece, ancient China, all ancient cultures looked at mathematics not just as a subject but as a process to learn all other subjects. If you look at this particular image, it is showing you the division of cells inside a fertilized ovum, and how two cells become 4 and then 8, and this is what is talked about as mathematical patterns, and this is called the seed of life, and Anusha has already shown you what a seed of life looks like in structure. So this is an interpretation of that seed of life. And going forward, I want you to explore all the mathematical patterns in the seed of life, how the seed of life is formed, and from the seed of life, how you could gather the tree of life, and from tree of life, how a flower of life comes, and from a flower of life, how does the fruit of life, which is a actually when you put 6 fruits of life together or turn it into 6 faces, it would become a cube, a hexahedron. So this has been called as sacred geometry in other parts of the world. In India, we have looked at it from the point of view of Sri Yantra. So sacred geometry is a very, very important concept. Our body has mathematical patterns, like I was mentioning in the earlier module also. Our body has the Fibonacci sequence in it. Our body has the elements of the flower of life in it, and our systems of yoga, our tantra, and all these ancient systems, even classical dance art forms that work with the body, they help one engage in these 108 chakras within themselves, so that this recognition that we are one with the cosmos happens for the child at a very early age. If we as teachers can help and understand how these patterns manifest in nature all around us and also within us, if we can understand how the Fibonacci sequence works in our body, what kind of ratio exists within our body, we're able to facilitate that for the child. Likewise, if we are able to understand that the ancient philosophy incorporated a lot of mathematics in it, we are able to engage children with understanding, with pedagogy that is native to this culture, that is very much native to the soil, very much native with the lived experience of the child. Now, to conclude, what I would like to say, what I would like to share is that sacred geometry you can see patterns of mathematics in all life around us. We can see them in flowers, in fruits, in plants, in leaves, in trees, in hurricanes, in clouds. We cannot construct a single thing. We cannot construct a window, a door, a building. We cannot make anything without incorporating what we call the Sri Yantra and also what the Western civilization called the sacred geometry into it. So, sacred geometry is the fundamental base of learning systems across the world. And we have a very rich heritage of understanding of mathematics in India, and most of it was based in understanding mathematics through geometry. That is because they looked at mathematics as a study of patterns of what goes on in life, what goes on around us, and also helped children learn mathematics in this manner from a very, very young age. So I hope all of you as teachers will be able to incorporate this kind of learning, helping children look at mathematics beyond numbers, beyond calculations, because numbers and calculations naturally they don't make sense to a lot of children. What makes sense to a lot of children is patterns in nature, what exists around them. So if we can use what exists around them, if we can use their own body to teach them mathematics, it is very fundamental. It is not scary for the child at all, and it helps the child engage their own sensories, perceptions in learning. And as a result of such learning, whatever that a child absorbs being in the learning environment remains with the child. So I hope that these 4 modules have been very engaging and enriching for you, and you will be able to use your own creativity, your own ingenuity to come up with many more arts-based learning approaches, as well as the use of art and craft forms in your
Triangles
classes.
are
Thank you very much.
there are categories of triangles wherein we can decide based on their lengths of the sides. So first we are doing equilateral triangle. For that, take a rectangular sheet of paper. Now fold it into half horizontally or vertically. Fold it into half vertically like this so that it forms into 2 rectangles. Open it. Now you can see the crease here formed, right? Now hold right corner of the rectangle of the paper, get it downwards onto the crease like this, such a way that the fold should be from the corner here. Exactly, there shouldn't be any space left. The fold should start from the corner here, exactly like this. And the right corner should fall onto the crease and make a crease here. Now you can see this part of the paper, right? Now hold this corner and along this side of the triangle formed here, along this side of the triangle, hold this corner and fold like this in such a way that this side will completely fall exactly on this side of the paper, like this. It should be exactly like this, and the corner here should be sharp. Please take care of it. Crease it. Now turn it around. See, you can see this extra part here, right? That you have to fold it backwards like this, but don't leave it like this, just tuck it inside. Now can you see a triangle formed here? This is called equilateral triangle. Okay, and do you know why we call this as equilateral triangle? What is the meaning of equi? Means equal. Here if you observe, the angles of all the 3 corners, the angles at all the 3 corners are exactly equal to 60 degrees. So we call this triangle as equilateral triangle. Okay, now let's do the next one. See here, in this in the equilateral triangle, along with the angles, all the three sides, if you measure the three sides of the triangle, all the three sides will be equal. Now we understood that if all the lengths of three sides of the triangle is equal, then it is called equilateral triangle. Now if only two sides are equal, then we call it as isosceles triangle. Now let's see how we can make isosceles triangle. Take a square sheet. Now fold it into half diagonally in such that you get triangle formed here into two equal triangles. Now open it. We did this so that we get a crease here in the center. Now bring this side of the square completely onto the crease like this from the corner, and always be careful that the corner is always sharp here, and crease it like this. Repeat the same thing on the other side also. So this side falls completely here in the center and crease it. And here, this small triangle, you have to fold it inside along this side. Along this side. Now, just be careful that all the corners should be sharp. Now, if we turn it around, this becomes the isosceles triangle, because these two sides, length of these two sides are equal, and this side is different from these two sides. So in this triangle, since only two sides are equal, this is called as isosceles triangle. Now, if we just fold it into half like this, exactly half, this becomes the scaling triangle, wherein no side is equal to each other. All lengths of all sides are different. So this triangle is called scaling triangle. So till now we've distinguished the triangles based on their lengths of sides. Now we'll see it according to their angles. So if again take equilateral triangle, as I said, all the three angles measures 60 degrees. That means less than 90 degrees. So since all angles are less than 90 degrees, it is also called acute angled triangle. Okay? And now just take the scaling triangle which we did earlier. If you observe this angle here and measure, you will get exactly 90 degrees here. And in a triangle, if any one of the angles measure 90 degrees, then it is called as right angled triangle. Now a question for you. Think and tell me, how many right angles can a triangle have? That's a question for you, okay? Now, the last triangle based on the based on the angle. Take another square sheet, fold it into half along the diagonal. That is, fold the square into two equal triangles. Open it. Just like how we did for isosceles triangle, bring this side of the square along the crease which we just made here. Repeat the same for this side also. Here you just fold it into half like this. Can you observe? This is also a triangle, but if you look at this angle, if you look at this top angle, and when you measure, this angle will be more than 90 degrees. If any angle in a triangle is more than 90 degrees, then it is called obtuse angled triangle. Since any angle more than 90 degrees is called obtuse, that particular triangle is called as obtuse angled triangle.
Hi everyone. So here I have a rectangle sheet. Why do you say this is a rectangle? So here when you look at any shape, if the shape is having opposite sides are equal, and when adjacent sides are not equal, so this is called as rectangle. And in this rectangle all the angles are 90 degrees. So this is a rectangle, and now we will see how we will convert this rectangle into a square. Take a rectangle sheet. Now you can see this side, this upper side should come, you should fold it downwards like this, and it should coincide on this side of a rectangle. Increase it. Now you can see this shape. Now cut this extra rectangle part from this triangle. Crease it. Tear it carefully like this. Now this is a square. What is the difference? In the square also you have opposite sides are equal, and in the square main thing is adjacent sides are equal, and the angle in the square are 90 degrees. All the angles in a square are 90 degrees. So this is a square. So what is the difference between square and a rectangle? So when you look at a square and a rectangle, opposite sides are equal in a square, but when you look at a rectangle, opposite sides are equal but adjacent sides are not equal. When you look at a square, adjacent sides are also equal. Understood? Now we'll move to parallelogram. Using the same paper, using a square, we'll do a parallelogram. Take a square sheet, fold it diagonally, unfold it. Now place it like this. Hold the left hand side tip, fold it vertically like this. You can see here how I fold it. Now turn it like this and do the same step. Take this tip, bring it over this diagonal line, exactly onto the diagonal line, that it should come onto the diagonal line. So done. Turn it back side. This is a parallelogram. You can see it here. It's like this. So what is the difference between this parallelogram and a square? Main thing is, in a square all the sides are equal. In parallelogram opposite sides are equal and adjacent sides are not equal. And in square you will have 90 degrees. All the angles are 90 degrees. But in parallelogram you have opposite sides are equal, and these two opposite sides are equal, these two opposite sides are equal. And when you look at a rectangle, as we are saying in a parallelogram also, both the sides are equal, so and adjacent sides are not equal. In rectangle also we are saying adjacent sides are not equal. So when you look at a rectangle and a parallelogram, you can see here in a rectangle all the angles are 90 degrees, but when you look at a parallelogram, opposite sides are equal, but those are not 90 degrees. Okay, and when you see this, you are getting two acute angles and two obtuse angles. So this is a parallelogram. Next we'll move on to rhombus. Okay, we'll turn this parallelogram into a rhombus. Take a parallelogram like this. Now you can see this edge. Bring this right top of the edge onto the diagonal line. Bring it to the diagonal line. Like this, slowly. And be careful, this tip should be sharp. And turn this parallelogram and do the same thing on the opposite side. Now when you turn this back side, you can see a rhombus. What is the difference between rhombus and parallelogram? When you look at it, in a parallelogram, opposite sides are equal and adjacent sides are not equal. When you look at a rhombus, opposite sides are equal and adjacent sides are also equal. That means all the sides are equal. But when you look at a square and a rhombus, what is the difference? Here also all the sides are equal, but in a square also all the sides are equal. The main difference is, in a square all the angles are 90 degrees, but in a rhombus opposite angles are equal. As you can see here, these two angles are equal and these two angles are equal. And in a square you will get all right angles, and in a rhombus you will get two obtuse angles and two acute angles. That means you will not get any right angle in a rhombus. And when you look at a rhombus, opposite angles are equal, and when these angles change into 90 degrees, what happens? You can see a square. Want to see how? See, when you turn a square like this, it looks same, but the angles are different. That's it. Here you are getting 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. But here you are getting two acute angles and two obtuse angles. So if you want, you can turn a rhombus into a square, or rhombus may turn into a square, or a square may turn into a rhombus by changing the angle.
Only when all angles are 90 degrees.
Only when all angles are 90 degrees, then rhombus is also known as square. And all the sides are equal, as you know. Then we'll move on to next one, that is kite. So take a square sheet, fold it along the diagonal line, unfold it. Now you can see a diagonal line here. Take the right side edge of the square and fold it like this. Bring the edge onto the diagonal line which we have creased. Do it on the other side also. Bring the edge onto the diagonal line like this. Now when you turn this back, you can see. So this is a kite. What is the difference between this kite and a rhombus? Both look same, but when you look at these both, opposite sides are not equal. Adjacent sides are equal in a kite. See here, when you look at a rhombus, all the sides are equal, and when you look at a kite, adjacent sides are equal, but opposite sides are different. And all the angles. So when you look at a rhombus, here you can see two diagonals which will meet perpendicularly, and both the diagonals bisect each other. So when you look at a kite, here both the diagonals are cutting perpendicularly, but both the diagonals are not bisecting each other. So that is the main difference between kite and a rhombus. So when you look at both rhombus and a kite, you can differentiate rhombus and a kite by seeing the diagonals also. As when you look at a rhombus, both the diagonals are perpendicular to each other and both the diagonals are bisecting each other. And when you look at a kite, both the diagonals are perpendicular to each other, but they are not bisecting to each other. You can see here the length of this diagonal is more than this one, but these are not bisecting each other. So this is the main difference between rhombus and a kite. Now we'll move on to final quadrilateral, which is trapezium. So take a square sheet again, fold it along the diagonal line. Hold it like this. Now fold this into half. Exactly how am I doing? Vertically, and unfold it. You'll get a shape like this. Now bring this apex to the top of the triangle, to the center of this base. You can see a crease here. We have made a crease to see the center of this base, so we need to touch the center of the base like this. When you turn it back, this is a trapezium. So what is a trapezium? In a trapezium, opposite sides are parallel. When you look at these, both the sides are parallel, so they will not meet anywhere. But when you look at these sides, these will meet. Any quadrilateral becomes a trapezium when there is only one set of parallel lines. So here you can see one set. So this is one set of parallel lines, and these are not parallel lines because they'll come and they'll meet here. So this is the main difference between trapezium and other shapes.
Hi, I'm Sairam. I'm studying 9th class B section, and I made few things with water bombs and some in this water bombs, and I made few things. In those, some mathematical concepts are involved. We can learn mathematical concepts like from this fish we can learn about from triangles based on sides. Like you can see this triangle, the sides of the triangles are, three sides are different, then so we call it as scalar triangles. And you can see this big triangle, to this triangle both the sides are equal and one side is not equal, so we call it as isosceles triangle. And the next one is flapping bird. When we catch this bird's neck and tail, when we pull it can fly like this. And here from this bird we can learn about angles. Like here we have an angle. This angle is called obtuse angle because it has more than 90 degrees, so we call it as obtuse angle. And this is acute angle. Acute angle means less than, if any angle it is less than 90 degrees, so we call it as acute angle. And we can see the right angle here. This is exactly 90 degrees, so we call it as right angle. And this is flapping bird. And this is jet plane. From this jet plane we can learn about angles based on angles. Like here we can see one triangle. In this triangle we have one right angle. Can you see this right angle? And in this triangle we have one right angle, so we call it as right angle triangle. And when we turn it and when we see at the bottom of this jet plane, we can see obtuse angle here. Here there is obtuse angle, so we call it as obtuse angle triangle. And here we can see acute angle. If in any triangle there is acute angle, that is called acute angle triangle. Then the next one is ball. This is in hexagon shape. When we blow it, it looks like a ball. After that, when we press the edges of this, it will become cube like this. Like this. And this is a cube. From this cube we can learn few quadrilaterals. Like this is a quadrilateral, this is a trapezium, and these are two rectangles, and you can see one square. And if we want to play, just when we catch like this and blow it, it will turn, spin. It will come like that, it will spin. After that, this is a tulip, it looks like lotus. And from this we can learn about pyramid. This is a pyramid. To this pyramid, the base of this pyramid is square, so we call it as square pyramid. And in this is a cylinder. This is a cylinder. That's it. We can learn from this about square based pyramid and one cylinder. And the last one is fancy box. This is a fancy box. From this fancy box we can learn something like when it is in 2D. When it is in 2D, this is pentagon shape, and when we open it, then we can see so many shapes. See here, we can see open cube. This is open cube, and we can see here an hexagon, and this is a square. And all these triangles are isosceles triangles. And from this water bomb base we can learn so many things. And from 1st class to 10th class we can learn about maths and so many things, how we can like 2D to 3D. Thank you for listening.